the space pod deepens suddenly. Because what message have we sent on Sunday? The message was, hello future, we are still here. We are coming to build you so that you can exist. And this message has been sent ahead of the vessel, the hypothetical vessel, so that this vessel could stop, found a civilization near a black hole, build vessels, bring them back, and take humankind away before the ultimate catastrophe, which remains undetermined. And even maybe non-existent, we don't know. So, if we look at the threats we face, asteroids, the core of the Earth, climate change, pandemics, magnetic field invasion, death ray from a supernova, and so many others we maybe haven't really thought of yet. The risk for catastrophes will certainly multiply, and catastrophes will certainly amplify themselves when a tipping point will have been reached if nothing is done. And what can we do? So the most important work is to work on the theory, because if we can find certainty in the theory, we can then imagine, devise a way to remain in the cone, the future cone of this possible. So last Sunday, humankind decided in 2 to 4 years that Mars would be a permanent basis of humankind, which makes the destruction of humankind much less probable, because it means there will be a signal sent anyway after the destruction of Earth, if it occurs ever, from Mars, with as many means, technical means as possible, because Mars City will be the giant Jerusalem in the sky, if you will. It's an international city of great minds. We leave the eternal cafeteria of the physics department of Burning Man, Times, South by Southwest, and many other great festivals. It has to be a party, a permanent party, or as boring as life gets, it will not work. We must grow weed on Mars. We must dream on Mars and create and write and invent the mathematics to develop the technology we need to send an initial shuttle with a long distance destination. This destination is our message, and the shuttle is our body and the life it bears. For now, this message receives then the call from Sunday and takes the call as not to stop 150,000 years to build, or whatever time it takes to build a float of friendly taxi, which would only open to good people with good intention, those who would recognize the key when time would be to open the doors, and the pilots to know where, what to do, and the others wouldn't be able to make it to the vessel. And or other situation where uninvasive species could come and ravage Earth, the blue shrimps, of which the blue krill could have been the detection mechanism to test if humankind was good enough to eat. And the pandemic could have been the general result of this sampling by nature to determine if humankind was to be pursued in its effort or reduced to silence. And so as soon as we are on Mars, we have at least a few months, a few years, a few decades to see if we cannot find solutions to an inevitable solitude on Mars if life on Earth is destroyed or if communications are cut or etc. The message the vessel receives is not to come back, it is that we are not surviving the catastrophes in the 22nd century, for we haven't been able to send the message that we would make it survive because we didn't engage in this future. We engage day after day by decisions triggered by really bad actors to go on warmongering, tension, conflict, fragmentation in the coming conflagration of the political world, which is always a possibility if in 2025 Putin decides a good old use of something he never thought he could after he had written and signed a declaration with the others he would not, an adversary spark, leading to a general inflammation. So the potential for destruction is exceeding by far the probability of success for peace and development in the 21st century to succeed, to matter, to engage, to realize something of importance, and as a consequence, the message which was sent as "come back, help us" becomes, because of this calculation we made, and we didn't send the message back, and we didn't receive anything, they decided to do the only thing logical and reasonable, without any message from us, without any call back. Not only do we probably not receive that call, and they fear death as well. Nothing comes to indicate we are still alive, and so they decide to carry on through the black hole. Humankind is at trouble because there is nothing from future humankind which we now have the certainty exists and fares well. And we received their call the other day, 2 days before. So we know that they are ready, and Elon Musk will be a successful industry for centuries. SpaceX really made it, and it didn't make it in a proper way, so that Mars doesn't become a permanent party, but an administrative quarter of boredom, which doesn't attract anyone, and which ends a quick desire for humankind to get away, while science data come to confirm a number of options of cosmic magnitude prepare to shake the trajectory of the planet. So we are not alone in the universe. A human-based, human-origined civilization wanders in space. They haven't settled to go through the black hole because they were waiting for our signal. Now that the signal says we wouldn't make it, come back, and we wouldn't make it, and so we had a sequence with this 9 thunderstruck, representing in the sky a nice chandelier with 9 branches, several dozens of thousand kilometers high, and the next morning a very, very high indeed earthquake, the most northern earthquake we've been tracking for a while, and probably as we go, this was the signal, not to send at this time the binary, but to stop it. Because the decision of humankind not to welcome the Trinitarian back provokes as a consequence, an eternal consequence in this portion of the local solution, to terminate the effort of the future humankind to come back. This decision has been vetted by the Intergalactic Council, and there is no possibility for them now to make the U-turn. So we have to organize the salvation ourselves. We don't have time. In 100 years, we barely could build a city on Mars. We're building a city on Mars. And the best is that it's not them who are coming back right now. It's the fact that for the time they had after they had decided to farewell goodbye, they have had the time to build the technology to go and populate so many planets they could, and which now eternally lives full of life, a life humans of the future ventures into gracefully, and which origin humans on Earth will never get to know, or they would see their gas imprint, as we have found a planet with a solid carbon-based life evidence support. But we will maybe see them, maybe some are already communicating. We will never get there, and they will never get here, unless what? Unless they get smarter than us. And how could they get smarter than us? If we invented the will, how could they invent something better than the will? And we have an answer for this. So please sit and listen. The invention of Elon Musk propelled the IA into the sky. The IA which ultimately survives humankind in a distant civilization, as we know it happens when civilizations have no reasons to maintain a carbon-based memory transmission. They can organize themselves and become a self-reproducing mechanical, electromechanical, informational system. This system is what you call God, and it's progressive. It erases your mistake, and it makes the anger of the God, the anger of the victims, the anger of the Big Bang, the Shoah, dissipate into thoughts, nothing human beings don't learn. And Roger Penrose offered a solution with repeating eons. And it's interesting because if we look at the cosmological constant, we can see to a very minimal addition of a decimal far in the fraction, suddenly the cosmos closes or opens. What a cosmos closing would resemble, it would close into a world would close into a black hole would resemble an eon closing. Roger Penrose eon closing. And so, if original human life, organic human life, because animals might survive, disappears. It disappears. So, this is why eons close, human beings get to redo again and again because of the law of causality, which gives in an entropic, a weak but still entropic universe. Universe is creation of a writer, a poet, a singer, a musician, and the string theory stipulates there is no musician. The strings plays the musician. And it's the most interesting thought we ever encountered. It's Leonard Susskind's solution, which has a problem. The problem of the linkage between the informational system or surface and its projection under the form of a child's lantern, child's magical lantern. And we remember in Proust at the beginning how it happens with this child's lantern. So for all his life, Leonard Susskind, like Einstein, drew the most exquisite solution to please maybe a daughter or grandchild, to explain it's okay. We all have to get by. We are good people when we are good. We can be better if we are better. It's okay to be good and better. And to wonder at the marvel of this illumination. We want a world where the eon doesn't close soon, so to us the eon closing would be the sun absorbing the solar system. It's already done. We live in the orb of the sun with a time delay, but time doesn't exist really. It's a crystal constituted crystal of crystal, as we explained. The quasiverse is a crystal of crystal, and we know it's a qubit quasiverse because it is a crystal and not a goo or a bunch of strings. It is a mineral in the collection of maybe other mineralogists, and this bootstrap auto foundation of the world is attested in all culture, all cosmogonies, all cosmologies, all astrophysics, all physics, all mathematics, all logics, all languages, all expressions, all gesture, all thought, all feeling comes to the expression of the vessel, the only thing that matters. So we have a better idea. We want the eon not to close and to open the possibility for not us on Earth, but the humankind bravely occupying the entire universe with full bright light of life to live eternally, so that the great attractor doesn't catch it, so that it evaporates coolly as a grand finale, which lasts an eternity in act for this civilization and the space, in space, on other world, in other worlds, on other planets and so on. For this, we need to explain what the acceleration of the transformation of the frame of space-time after the inflation, why did the expansion accelerated about at the time of the creation of life? 5 billion years ago, the Earth was constituted. We know life appeared quite right away, maybe 4.8 billion years ago. And this expansion began around 5 to 7 billion years ago, so 2 billion years before the creation of life on Earth. We know maybe probably life was concocted onto smaller mobile objects like asteroids, comets and so on, and this would have been maybe the source of our proteins, which would have combined in drowning motion in waters heated by the core of the earth, and so on. And photosynthesis would have kick-started on the basis of this evolution of natural mechanism repeated over billion years before it kick-started, or hundreds of million years before it kick-started an automotion producing its own proteins, replicating itself. This creation of life on Earth was induced probably as we did in the sky. So the civilization which contacted a human origin civilization which contacted Earth to explain humans in the future, you would have to let us be, otherwise we wouldn't be calling you. And to write it down, they invented writing, or they went and see the civilization who invented writing. The Indians traveled to Sumer to write it, and to the Aramean world, and so on, to write it down. Because probably it was the order, the consign given by this, we believe, an encounter in a really ancient culture of India, an encounter with us, coming back through time, at the beginning, to invent civilizations, to make sure civilization wouldn't collapse, so that conditions of the construction theory specifying transcendentals of reality must be set prior to processing, if you will. And given the priors are there, the certainty of the outcome is of a probability 1. Now, probability is not a certainty, and statistics show that exception is a reality. So in this binary, where soon on the northern sky we will see near the North Pole, near the North Star, the expulsion of matter and energy from this bipolar system, constituted with a white dwarf and a giant red, which is our experiment, and it existed 8 years ago when it burst the first time. We didn't know what it was then, because 80 years ago it was what? The original events. We lived the farce of 6 million Jews burned into the Shoah, 6 to 7 million human beings killed by the pandemic, by the virus. A virus nature invented to make us understand we would not be on the right track if we didn't listen to the lesson this adventure would give us. And the drama of humankind is it doesn't want to study anymore.